Welcome, paranormal enthusiasts, to this week's episode of Creepin' It Real, here on the Coast to Coast Entertainment Network, where everyone comes for their paranormal fix. Real people, real stories, in real time. So glad you could join us for some ghostly gab. I'm your host, Eleanor Wagner. Hi, all. As always, I appreciate you hitting the subscribe tab, follow button, or show app on your podcast of choice. Everybody give a hello shout out to our coast to coast techie, Chris Mabry. He'll be working hard tonight to help us run smoothly. My guests today are members of the Kalkana Paranormal Research Team, a group comprised of 7 members. And tonight I have Josh Vandy Wettering and David Kezier to join me. Hi, guys. Thank you so much for coming on.
Hi.
Thank you for having
me.
me.
You also have Stephanie Vandy Wettering that likes to stay in the background. She doesn't like to be photographed. And there's Becky Van Evenhoven, Julie Van Oss, Dan Knies, and Josh Fetzer that are all part of your team. What positions do you guys play in your group?
Well, I created the team, also lead investigator, and then David here, he's also he's the second lead investigator, and then energy healer.
Yeah, I have multi different things I do. I was told to have medium and psychic properties or capabilities. I don't put a lot of, how do you say, I don't make that a classification of me because it's just something part of me. I don't use it often unless I have to. But overall, my job is I am a sensitive or intuitive and empathic. So on a lot of the jobs or the investigations, I kind of go around and get a feeling and kind of, it helps us sort of go in a particular direction during the investigation. So that's what I kind of use it for.
And what about you, Josh?
What was the question again?
What is your job with the group?
I was listening so intently to David.
Sorry.
So anyway, I mean, when it comes to like what I do pretty much everything. I'm the techie of the group. Most of the time, I'm the one that knows how to set up the equipment and whatnot. As they more so real, obviously the power cores and the video and all that stuff. They can control the handhelds and whatnot, but I'm the one that sets up the DVR. I, control the social media account. I schedule all, David and I both, we get on the phone for, client interviews and whatnot. I'm usually the one that responds to emails and stuff like that. But when it comes to a lot of the technology associated with what we do, that, as he points over to me, that is pretty much all me.
Yeah.
Teamwork makes the dream work, though, right? When we're all together as a group, that energy we bring together.
Exactly.
Everyone has that piece of the puzzle that fits, and it works.
Run
smoothly.
Oh yeah, definitely. When I see one of them successfully working, successfully actually setting up the technology too. Oh, I love that.
Yeah, me too. Now, does your team have a mission statement that they like to follow as a group?
Yeah. So whenever it comes to like kind of telling people what we sort of do, I always use 3 keywords: helping, documenting, and educating. Helping, obviously, meaning like helping those that are affected by things within the paranormal field. And then there's the documenting part, whereas to documenting the activity, finding proof of this world, that you can't always see or hear, other than, some people obviously can, but that, and then educating, just educating the public about the paranormal, sort of do's and don'ts, what to look for in a team, things like that, I guess. I always try to not sound like sort of an arbiter, I guess, because within the paranormal field, I mean, there's no person in the paranormal field that sets the rules. That there's a, I mean, there's universal, there's kind of like universal knowledge where it's kind of like an unset rule where, like, you know, obviously you don't charge for, you know, paranormal teams, we don't charge for what we do. And, you know, we're all in this field to help. That's kind of like a universal knowledge within the field, but on the other hand, they're not actual set rules. There's no one that actually governs this field to tell us, you know, to tell everybody what can and can't do. So,
if you don't mind, I like to elaborate on what he's saying. I think one of the biggest things that people don't understand is that the majority of research done on the paranormal is by enthusiasts. You know, in the movies, they talk about the Ghostbusters, and I love those shows. I mean, excellent shows. But I'd say about 90% are people that either had personal experiences, and that's why they went into the field, or they're just curious, okay? Or maybe they want to, what if we came across a spirit, you know, a Sasquatch, whatever. And I think that a lot of people think that a lot of investigators are professionals, and that's not the truth, not at least from what I've seen. But at the same token, we are observers. You know, and that's what makes it so beautiful. Is like you go in, you see what's going on in a home or a property or, you know, even a factory, and then you try to take in the dynamics of the property and to determine what is causing this. And sometimes we know about portals and stuff, and we've come across several of those ourselves throughout.
Very interesting.
Yeah. So, you know, it's, as I said, it's, the industry per se, yeah, there's a lot of money into it, but overall, you don't usually get a lot of professors that investigate like that. So
I think it's important for the public to know that it is a well-known fact that if a team comes into your home or business, they're not supposed to charge you anything. This is a gift that we have, and we're trying to help spirit, and we're trying to help those people that are living with spirit in spirit space to be able to coexist if spirit doesn't want to move on. And it's really important that people should know and understand that they shouldn't have to pay anything for that. And if they do, they should go look elsewhere, because nobody's better than anybody else that they can say we deserve to get paid to do this.
Exactly. So, exactly. I like your philosophy.
Exactly.
Thanks. And I think it's really great that, I mean, everybody is sensitive to a certain degree, some more so than others. I don't consider myself nearly as sensitive as some of the people on my team, but I do have my gifts, and I'm learning to grow them by taking classes. I started later in life because I was afraid when I was a kid, but everybody's journey is different. And I just, I'm looking to figure out where I'm supposed to be and what I'm supposed to do, as are so many others in the field. And if we're there to help each other to grow and to learn, I think that's an amazing thing to do as well.
Oh yeah. I tell people too, you know, when they're first starting out, or, you know, when they're just have a question for me, when it comes to the actual charging thing, I always tell them, like, if you want to charge, like, go ahead. But at the same time, I always say, good luck getting anywhere if you charge, because there's so many teams in this field. And like I said, the universal rule, you know, no one charges. So honestly, if you're trying to start a team and you're going to try to charge people, good luck, because you're not getting anywhere.
I'm excited for the experience. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if you guys Googled me when we connected with one another, but I'm a writer. I've published books on true account hauntings. And for me, I just love that experience and giving that family the opportunity for me to write the story that they have experienced. And then if the team gets to go in and do an investigation, I love to write about what we've unearthed too. So for me, it's all about that experience and helping spirit and the families that are involved.
Exactly. So, it's that feeling that you get when you leave an investigation or a case, and that client is like
satisfied,
so grateful for what you have done. That's
Yeah.
reward enough, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Bingo, 100%. Well, you investigate equally as many private residences as you do popular haunts, so to speak. I know you were talking about a residence in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Can you shed some light on what was going on in that particular incident and what happened while you were there?
You go, dude.
Okay. My So initially, the claims were about the family being disturbed. The target was the youngest daughter. There was scratches, the normal type of stuff that you get during an interview with people who are plagued by some kind of paranormal paranormal activity. So we interviewed, then we went there, and we made a decision to plan an investigation. And so then, we got ourselves prepared, got our team together. And the reason this one stands out so much is we got everything set up. Our team was ready to rock and roll, and we were in the basement. And Josh over here, he had his light on, and it was I'm sorry. It was he got a big old.
He hit my computer monitor. Accidentally.
Sorry, my bad. So right. We were already in the dark. Josh turned off his light, and he looked over, and all of a sudden he saw what appeared to be a neon half circle on a wall. And it was located right next to where the laundry entrance was to the room there. So he's like, what is that? So myself and another team member went over there.
Grab a case file real quick.
Go ahead. And basically we realized that we had to illuminate this odd half circle, and so we were all there, and we have all this on footage because we're all using our black lights and our regular lights and really trying to put that energy into this possible paint. And we were able to identify that it was a half circle, and so I took 33 pictures of that. And later in review, we discovered that we had 30 pictures that didn't come out at all, but there were 3 pictures that had orbs creating these shapes. So we, once we illuminated, we saw the half circle. We said, okay, let's go into round 1. We did all that. Weird things were happening, like throughout the night. One of the guys that we had monitoring the command center, he was supposed to hit the play button, okay? And for some reason, he was distracted. So we're doing round 1, and nothing was recorded. Now, this guy was a night hog. He would sleep in the day and be awake at night. He fell asleep during that one round, and very unnatural for him. He's just, as I said, he was a night hawk. There was an incident of Josh tripping on something. There was a heavy weight throughout the entire house. So we kept on going. There were, at some point towards the end of the night, right at the last round, I'm in the basement by myself, and I'm just, as I said, I'm a sensitive in many ways, and I started hearing voices. Now, it wasn't the ones upstairs, because you could distinguish. These were different voices. And I'm looking around, and all of a sudden I heard one voice say, shield, shield, shield. So I began an energetic shielding. I went through every space of that property, and I started moving my energy to try to clear and create a shield around, because there was so much happening. And so I did that. At one point, there was a claim about the parents' room. The parents were being like the blanket was coming off. There was scratches, the whole 9 yards. The continuous not being able to sleep in that room. So they were all dealing with fatigue. Yes, I'm sorry.
What was it? Was it an angry spirit, or was it something far worse?
Well, at the end of the night, let me give you this example. At the end of the night, all of us went back and we tried to illuminate that half circle. It wasn't a half circle anymore at the end of the night. It was a full circle with 4 children's handprints.
Wow.
Yeah. So we're like, what the heck, right? And when I was trying to clear and shield the property itself, and going into the parents' bedroom, when I was ready to walk in, all of a sudden it felt like there was resistance. So I'm trying with my energy to clear and burst that bubble, you know. I couldn't do it, so I called another teammate who was very gifted as well, and it took him and me to open it up. Now, Josh took a ambient temperature measurement. That room was 9 degrees lower than any other room in the house. Okay. So that was definitely an impression for me. Like, you know, we cleared it almost like military style, you know, with energy and stuff. We got whatever was there. We were able to move it into the garage, but no further. It was like a lot of energy used by two people trying to move this energy out. When we originally looked at the footage later to review it, you could tell that as I was moving, the orbs, and there were quite a few, and it's a rare phenomenon to have orbs. Okay, in this case, we kept on seeing them, and they weren't dust particles at all because we studied them. We looked at like you could say flight patterns. You know, you could see other dust moving upward. This thing was doing its own thing. You know what I mean? And as I was moving,
other things happening around you. I mean, you don't just 100%. Sense those other things.
Yeah.
Enough to say we can't debunk it because it's not just the orbs. It's this, that, and the other thing going on.
100%. You know, and we had to do research because I was going the demonic route. Okay. And so we did some research to find other patterns, possibly patterns that matched what we were experiencing. And unfortunately, quite a few of them matched. To a demonic haunting. So the biggest problem was this entire investigation, and then we would go back 6 months later to see if there were any additional symbols, because these were symbols, okay? And when we went there 6 months later, it was not, was it 8 or 9? I can't remember exactly. 8 or 9 different symbols in the basement.
I'm not 100% sure. Oh, so, yeah, we did find a lot more.
Yeah, we found quite a bit more. So that led us to look at it. Okay, let's figure this out. If the family's painting this, okay, by any chance, you always got to have that doubt. So, or you know what I mean? So you got to say, okay, what is the possibility that this was kind of a scheme on their part? Okay.
Right.
So what we did is we, a year and a half after the initial investigation, we actually took samples. We went back, we found all the symbols and quite a bit more. There was stuff on the carpeting. There was one symbol that was in the carpeting that was a bird's foot, okay, which also is a ruin, okay. You know what I'm saying? Like the ruins from the Vikings or the Scandinavian ruins and stuff. There was one that looked like a bird's foot, and I know if you look at anything regarding potential demonic episodes, that is one of the symbols. So we took a sample of that carpeting. And we took one from the wall, which was the first symbol that we came across. And it was developing as we were there. And we tested it. So we did, I don't remember the third one, but I know it was from another part of the basement. We did what just happened?
Sorry, I accidentally. You're good.
Thank you. Sorry about that. Are you still with us?
I'm with you.
Okay, so we went back, we got the samples, and we tested. Now, Josh's wife, back then it was his fiance, she had an associate's degree in forensic science. So we asked her, is there a way we can test this? And she was able to manage a simple test for looking for paint. Because we were saying, okay, what if they did this?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So, so during the testing of the samples, we discovered that none of them had paint except the one we took off the wall. The most fascinating thing about that test is we were observing it and we could see the emulsification of the paint. But while that was happening, we saw 2 droplets separate from the paint, from the emulsification. And so to us, what that means is that was an intelligent response. Can we say that it was a demon? No. But if you go back to the pictures that we initially took during the investigation, it made sense that we had 3 different orbs creating this one symbol.
Yeah.
And because
all right, so you brought a video about the basement lights, and then you also brought a photograph from this particular investigation. So in the video with the basement lights, what are we going to be looking at when we show it to the viewers?
So basically, so in that video, and we didn't actually catch this until we were actually going back and reviewing evidence. So basically, in the video, there's a light switch. So basically, these the light switches that are in the video turn on and then off. The interesting thing about it is that one of those light switches, like one of those lights, the light switches for that light, is in view of the camera. That was the only light switch to actually turn that particular light on and off. That is in perfect view of the camera, and no one touches it.
Part of the reason. Now, again, when we reviewed it, it's like we had to go back to the property and say, okay, let's see where the light was upstairs and see if anyone was near that switch.
Mm-hmm.
When we were able to compare the incident with the light and where all of us were down to a second, and we're like, okay, this is potentially paranormal because we had evidence saying that there was no one that physically touched that switch upstairs.
Touch that switch.
So,
All right, why don't we let Chris run that footage? Chris,
Okay.
that's the basement lights video. You want to explain it? What's going on?
Sure.
So you can't really see it in this. You can't really see it in
put
the
it
video,
back.
but right at the end of the staircase there,
On the bottom left.
Mm-hmm.
on the bottom
Yes.
left there, right where the handle ends to get down, there's a light switch in there that you can't really see.
Chris,
And
keep
I'm
on
not
running it for us.
But I'm not. No, I'm not talking about the bottom left. I'm talking about the bottom right.
Oh, the bottom
here.
right. That's
Yep,
right.
the bottom right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, David sometimes forgets about this video, but you can kind of see that there's a light switch there, kind of
like a
where
little-
the rail.
Yes.
Angular looking.
Yep, that is the light switch to actually turn on that light at the bottom of the stairs there. No
Okay.
one touches it. So as you can see, there.
Point it to there.
So if you look at the bottom left, there is a light that turns on the actual stairs. Now that light switch was located at the top of the stairs, but the one that's actually in the basement, the light that you can actually see, like you can actually see the actual light part. That light switch, like I said, is right in the frame on the bottom right. You flip that up, and that's what turned it on.
So
but
that second light,
Yeah.
the one right underneath, that's the one he's talking about.
but there's no one there
Yeah.
to do that.
Right. And you didn't pick up on this until later on, right? You had no idea the light had
Exactly.
gone on at
Yeah,
all.
we didn't see it because because the light, as you can see, we're actually right now we're what we do during an investigation is we do rounds where we send people out to kind of investigate the claims. And then what we do is we take a break, which is typically about 10-15 minutes. And then after that, we send different people out to see if they can get different or similar, if they can get different or the same results or no results at all. So during that time, we were actually taking a break.
I see. Now the photograph that you have that kind of looks like a flash of light that Chris is going to put up.
Yep.
What's that all about? Is that like just an anomaly, a strange anomaly that you guys encountered at that particular? No, this is not it, Chris. It's the DSCN4. There we go. That's the one.
That
is one of three.
I sent you the best one. Before I let David talk about this was our attempt to take a picture of that what looked like handprints and like
that was her half
paint on the
was
wall.
taken at the half circle.
Yeah,
that was
that's
at the beginning.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying like the handprints, like you said, eventually showed up.
Yeah.
This was our attempt to take a picture of that.
Correct.
Interesting.
And the flash wasn't on. There was no light whatsoever.
No. And then we did it without light because we wanted a true, in the darkness kind of stuff.
Because you can't see that in the actual light. It was like glow in the dark. It was like glowing in the dark, but you couldn't see, obviously, the glow in the dark stuff you can't see under light. You have to charge it and then under darkness. So that was our attempt at taking that photo, but you go ahead and explain.
And as you can see, it's got like a hook at the end. We had, as I said, out of 33, we had these 3 amazing images. And this one was probably, in my opinion, like the most aggressive one, if you want to put it that way.
It was the most clear, the most
clear, but
the
most also
pronounced. Yeah,
correct. And so again, this is part of the reason we thought it was something else going on beyond your standard haunting.
Yeah. I mean,
what happened to the family after this investigation? What was the follow up with the family?
Yeah. I'm gonna talk for just a second there, and then I'll let David, because David likes to elaborate on a lot of stuff, and he's great. He's better at elaborating on stuff. But it was originally, this place was the case. It was originally 2 different houses. First they lived. Both were on the east side here in Green Bay.
So you're saying that the spirits followed them and went with them? Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Hard to say. But basically, and the ironic part is the place that, I mean, we didn't live here at the time of this, but the house is like probably just 5 minutes away from here. But anyway, we investigated one residence where they lived first. And then that was during, it was December, I want to say like 12th or something like that. It was during the winter. And that particular, at the very beginning, there was the main concern that the family had was that their daughter had claimed to see the apparition of, I believe the age was 18, of an 18-year-old boy. But the catch was that this 18-year-old boy appeared to her naked.
Yeah.
And now let me this daughter,
really,
their daughter at the time
was what, 6?
Couldn't have been more than like
6.
Somewhere around there. I would say between 4 and 6 years old.
Yeah. She was probably either 5 or 6 years old.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And she kept telling her parents that, now I don't know where they got 18 from, but they told us that it looked like that she told them that it looked like this 18-year-old boy or older boy, adult boy, whatever you want to say.
Right. Teenage young man
appearing to her nude. And obviously that would definitely be a concern.
Yeah.
Absolutely. My gosh.
That was the claim at the very beginning. We didn't capture any evidence of this boy at all. Now, after we did that case, they had contacted us a couple months later saying that they had moved in to the new house.
One that they owned for once. The other one they rented, and this one they owned.
Yep, it was a rent-to-own place. I remember that. Then they moved into the new house. Now, this new house had EMF readings off the charts when it came to actually taking those readings. Now, the power lines were going directly above these people's house. So when we actually did the investigation, we had them turn off the power box, the actual breaker box in the basement, because of the fact that the electricity there, the levels were so strong that we needed to at least try to actually get natural readings here.
Understandable.
Because if there was a spirit that was going to show up and give us some readings, we may not have detected it because of the fact that obviously you have a power grid, right above the house that is like already making these readings go high. Yep. So they're not going to detect a very, very, very low level of energy at all. So we had those breaker boxes shut off. Yeah. And anyway, but then the claims this time at the second house had really gone further. The mom, she was completely tired all the time. She was feeling very oppressed, very depressed all the time, and they were still seeing things. There was no confirmation anymore of the daughter seeing the boy, but they were still seeing things, and they were like I said, the family was feeling very oppressed at the time.
Correct.
And they wanted us to look into, see if what was at the old house may have followed them or not. And if the readings, especially the energy levels, were this off the charts, it could have been, a lot of paranormal investigators should know the effects of too high of an EMF reading.
So cancer and stuff like that.
So that was one of the things. Okay, is it the high readings, like the natural readings, that are causing this? Are these readings fueling what's here? Is this completely unrelated? What's going on with that? So you can continue now.
All right. So several things that came out of the initial investigation. It was very minor, as he said, but it led into this. And I do recall driving past there not long after our investigation at the new house, and I found a a transformer about 2 or 3 blocks, I don't remember exactly, down the road. So the transformer was there and the lines were going this way. So things were really chaotic in that place. And I want to bring something up about the whole situation in that investigation is I was talking to our client, and I went past a mirror, an old-fashioned 1800 style mirror, really old. You could see cracks and everything in it. And as I walked, I just happened to walk past it, and all of a sudden I felt like I was getting pulled in. So being an energetic healer, all I did is put my hand right there, and all of a sudden my hand was drawn in there, and I'm like, okay, what the heck is happening here? So immediately,
portal.
100%. I talk to the client about this. Said, tell me about this mirror. And he goes, well, it was given to me by my dad when I was a little younger, and it's been with us the entire time. And I'm like, okay, not a problem. And then after the investigation, I talked to the client probably a month or so later, and we're talking, and he's going, I just talked to my dad about what we were talking about, and he said when he was 14 years old, something came out of the mirror. And I'm like, what?
Wow. Like, and they kept the damn mirror? Oh my God, that mirror is haunted.
Oh my God. So I got mad on his behalf, and I said, how could your dad do this to you? I got a little personal, because I'm thinking you're going through all this suffering. So what this is a generational curse. Okay. Pretty much it kind of falls. If you give someone an heirloom and it's haunted, it's going to continue.
You're passing that shit on. Oh my God.
So
what did he say? What did he say? What was his response?
His response was, okay. Pretty much like, what should I do? And so
get rid of the damn mirror. Oh my God.
He would not do it. Me and Josh offered to take that mirror off his hand and dispose it properly, and he wouldn't do it.
All right. Yeah. Okay then.
Yeah. So as we continued, we stayed as much in contact with the family as we could, but it was weird. We'd lose connection. Sometimes a year, 2 years, and then Josh and I would look at each other and say, "We gotta call these people again. Let's check on them." So overall, even though what I did that investigation night, when I did my best to try to clear these, whatever they were, out of the place, I was worried for them. I told Josh, I said, should we leave? I mean, I was really concerned. But what we discovered throughout this entire thing is that every time there's a haunting, there's always one person that's targeted. Okay? That's one thing I've learned from case to case to case. And often they are little children. Now, the individual that I'm talking about, I think she's about 9 years old, maybe.
Yep.
Maybe a little older. She started having health issues. Now, from what I understand, the family does not have diabetes. Okay. But at the age of 7, she developed diabetes. Okay. Onset diabetes, I think they call it. And so, that would make sense. You got this potential oppression, and it always goes after the body. You don't sleep, you go into depressive episodes, and things just get worse. You have a lot of fighting in the family. So as of right now, the family is very broken. Okay.
Oh, that's so sad.
It's very sad. And the thing is,
I hate to say it, but the dad keeping that mirror around did not help that situation any.
I guarantee
I'm sorry,
you,
but you gave him, you told him, you came there and you gave him an answer, and you said, you got to get rid of this shit, and he refused to do it. Sorry, but therein lies your answer.
And unfortunately, the family, as I said, is apart now. I mean, obviously,
I was just gonna say, there's something that we do know, but there's something that we don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know if where they're living now or if they're still living in that house, but we do know is that the parents unfortunately did get divorced. So they're probably not living in that house anymore, but that was unfortunately how that resulted. So,
and I felt horrible. I mean, these were nice people.
Oh yeah.
Okay, really nice people, and they were suffering.
Yeah.
I can only imagine how the children felt.
Yeah.
Overall, because they're like, it became kind of part of their lives, but at the same token, there were really scary moments for them.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'll bet.
And so for us, it was like we were kind of helpless because, I mean, I can cleanse a home. I can do all kinds of holy water and everything else. I can anoint the individual family members. But when you're dealing with that kind of energy, you're dealing with something very dangerous. And, and often, like, I'm sure you've read about demonic cases, the people become violent. They become mentally unstable. They suffer from all kinds of different physical disorders and possible disease. I mean, it's a whole gamut of things that people under that kind of energy, that kind of oppression that they deal with. And I, to be honest with you, we were in the end, we were unable to help them.
Mm-hmm. Now,
that's sad. That's really, really sad.
Yeah, there's only one thing that David and I have slightly different opinions with this case. Yeah. Is he believes that it was possibly demonic. I'm not quite there. I believe in demonic hauntings. I believe that they're very, very super rare. I'm not. Yes, it did have qualities of a demonic haunting and stuff like that. But just the fact that they're so rare to come across just has me skeptical.
That's good.
Yeah,
exactly.
I when you have mirrors like that and they're portals, anything can come through, and it can just be angry spirits looking for acknowledgement, and they can appear to be demonic, but clearly this mirror is haunted, and the father just doesn't want to acknowledge that, and it's making his daughter sick, and that was the very sad part of it, in my opinion.
Exactly.
And the thing about any kind of haunting, whether it's your standard earthbound spirit or poltergeist, whatever you want to call it, shadow beings, which are, I think people don't realize how dangerous shadow beings are.
Yeah.
I brought a entity home, not realizing it, and my daughter became its target. So she had like sleep paralysis. After researching it, I realized it was the old hag syndrome, and just horrible. She'd wake up with bruises and scratches all over her, and it's like, and I, as an investigator, obviously I recognized it once I saw it, and so I did my cleansing of the home. I was a bit angry. You know what I mean? Because like, how dare you touch my kid?
I was going to say, when you're a spirit and you mess with one of David's kids, I mean, you ain't going to be sticking around for too long.
Yeah, because I can extend my energy as well, and surprisingly, the cleansing went very good, and there was no more activity after that. But especially for investigator, beware that sage everything you have. Okay, sage it.
Sage it and salt it. I always say salt the perimeter as well, because I ended up bringing something home because this was early on in my paranormal investigating history that I didn't realize that I should have protected myself, and in not doing so, I brought something home and it affected my kid too. And so I immediately saged and salted, and ever since then have taken precautions necessary to avoid having that situation happen again.
Oh yeah,
it's really important that they
yeah. Watching my kids suffer was enough for me to continue being more vigilant when it comes to not bringing anything home. And that's difficult as a parent to see, you know.
Oh, it
especially
definitely
when you're
is.
the one to blame. Yeah, when you're the one to blame.
It was one thing when I was having the sleep paralysis, but then when my kid was having it, that was the line that was drawn for sure. Yep.
You become a mama bear.
Yep.
Yeah. Totally understand that.
Oh boy, that's so sad about that one situation. So
very much.
Then you guys said that you had an investigation at the Kaukauna Library in Kaukauna, Wisconsin. Like, what's so haunted about a library? Is it an old building? The history of the library goes back to the 1880s. I checked it out. At one point in time, the library was attached to the jail. So that could cause something. The librarian was given a revolver, I read up, just in case. So a building was erected in 1906, and it's been around for a long time. Is it on a property with a history that you guys know about? Talk to me about it. Tell me what's going on over there with that.
So basically, what with the library, well, first starting out, we have had a partnership with them for quite some time, and one day I had asked them. I had heard stories about a haunting there. Everybody always told me stories. Frequent patrons that went there, they always told me stories of seeing the apparition of this little girl that would hang out in the children's department. Now, the children's department, that was the upstairs. That was the upstairs area. The downstairs area was like adult stuff, more like preteen what do you call someone that's not quite adult yet?
Adolescents.
Something, not the word I was looking for, but sure.
Preteen is also, it's kind of like an in-between. Sure.
Exactly. Yeah. So basically,
hormonal. That's all.
Let's just say everything 13 and above was in that part of the library. Now, the children's department was specifically in the upstairs in this room, and so they were saying that they would always see this apparition of a little girl. She was wearing a yellow dress with a white bow tie, and as people kept telling me about that, I kept saying I wonder if we can get into there, to investigate it, because we were already close with the library. We had done a couple presentations there, so we asked them. We said, "Are you okay with? Can we investigate this?" A lot of people are telling us of a haunting here. We want to figure out if it's true and what's going on. So we decided. So they allowed us to investigate, and the most prominent thing about that. There's several prominent things about that night. And first of all, I should note that we never figured out who this little girl was, because there were no records of any serious crime taking place there. No death of a little girl. No, there was no records, absolutely, of any girl as to who this could be. So it was kind of like a mystery as to, okay, how did this girl end up here? Was it maybe a young girl that had passed away somewhere else in the city? That would have been like a big story. Did she love the library? Did she decide to just stick around there? Like, we could not find where this little girl was coming from. But the interesting thing about that night was that what happened everything happened up in the children's department.
Mhm.
Everything. And two of the big, or actually three of the most pronounced things that happened where they have a fireplace up there in the children's department, and they have two beanbags chair that were sitting next to it. And I say were because of the fact that this building is no longer the library. The library did move. Right now, I believe they use it for police training. So basically, the public has no access to it anymore. So we were upstairs in the children's department, the two beanbags and the fireplace, and there's a bin full of toys sitting right in front of that fireplace. And I just sat down and I just started having a normal conversation with the girl. And I was, saying, hey, if you're here with me, what you wanna play with some toys here? And I just decided to I took a random toy out, and the toy that I took out was it was one of those, it's hard to describe, but it was one of those platforms with the wires like moving in different directions. And then there's these
beads kind of like that move like with it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. I took that. One of those was in there. And I remember I took that out and I just put it on the ground and I just started moving the beads just in random directions. And then one of my team members had one of my team members had was over in another section of the library, and I walked over to them, and I forget why I walked over to them, but anyway, and then all of a sudden David calls me over, and he's over where I just was, and he's like, I just had a random flash in my head of a little girl in the yellow dress with the white bow tie, and she was laying belly on one of the beanbag chairs with her legs up, like she was playing, and she was just laying there playing. And I said, dude, I was literally just over there, and I asked this girl if she wanted to play with these toys.
And mind you, we didn't communicate at that point prior to it. Like, he just mentioned the color of the dress. He never told me that.
Oh yeah,
right. I had no idea. I didn't know the stories,
and that's why I was so amazed, because he didn't know of any of this. He didn't know what I had, because I was there. I was like, I had people on the other side of the room, but I was there just myself, trying to communicate with this little girl. And like I said, he just knew. He just like told me what he saw, and I'm like, I just asked if she wanted to play with these toys.
Yeah. It was crazy. She had beautiful black hair.
Yeah.
Just beautiful black hair.
And then,
she almost reminded me of my mom when she was young.
Yep.
And it's like...
and then we decided to do an EVP session.
Yes.
An EVP session. And we got two of the best responses that I have ever heard. We got one we asked what year it was. Mm-hmm. And the ironic thing is that if you listen to it, you hear you hear whatever's on the recorder say May 31st. The date was May 31st. Exactly.
So Chris is going to put that on for us. You sent the audio for me, and it's the May 31st response, and he can play that for us.
Do you know what year it is?
Yeah, I heard it.
I didn't hear it. It's my bad ear anyway. So.
Could you do that again for us, Chris, if you don't mind?
Thank you, Chris.
Do you know what year it is?
Right there.
Yep.
Right
yeah.
There. Yeah. The 31st is harder to make out, but you can hear something saying May.
Mm-hmm.
And then right after, and then soon after that, we decided. I asked in the EVP. I'm like, I'm pretty sure the question that I asked was, "Are you here with us?" or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then,
you sure that wasn't me that asked?
No, Did you ask?
Because on the I'm sorry.
One of us.
That's okay. That's okay.
One of us asked, I believe it was, "Are you here with us?" or something like that. And then the weird thing is that you can actually hear very clearly somebody say, "Yes," really fast. Yeah. And then the really cool thing that makes this EVP even more special is that literally like a second after you hear something say yes, David literally confirms the EVP without hearing it, because as soon as you hear yes, he goes, "Whoa, energy." Like he literally felt that spirit give off energy to say that, and it went right through David, and he felt that.
It was literally.
I love when that happens.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's amazing. But I felt like it went right through me. Like literally walked right through me. And
wow.
Okay. It was crazy. It was crazy.
You brought the audio for that too, and Chris is going to put that on for us now too. The yes EVP.
Something's in my nose. Are you near us? Oh, energy. Are you okay? Are you mad that we're in here?
Could you do that again, Chris, please?
Or something's in my nose. Are you near us? Oh, energy. Are you okay? Are you mad that we're in here?
That was crazy.
That's it's incredible. Like I said, it's not just the fact that we actually capture a yes. It's the fact that you confirmed it, and neither of us even heard it.
We didn't, and all I knew was like something just changed in my body. It's just so crazy. And this is why I'm still was. I mean, number one, Josh is my best friend. Okay, and when I joined the team, I was in a bad place. Was because I'm a disabled veteran, and I was going through a really rough time. And in many ways, I always say he saved my life, because he gave me that, that ability to help people, but also kind of realize that, we're all part of this energy, part of this cycle, everything. Whether you're alive or not, we're part of each other.
Right.
Whether we want to accept it or not, even though it's scary. And at some point, all of us will end up past the veil. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I love Kakana Paranormal Research Team, and I love Josh. He's my buddy. He's my brother. And he's allowed me to have these amazing experiences and help so many people.
Yeah.
Thank you, David, for your service too. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
I feel the same way about him. I'm not going to go into all that, but I feel the same way about him.
That's awesome. Yeah.
And nothing's a coincidence that you guys were brought together. There's no coincidence about that.
Amen.
Yeah.
You guys investigated a private residence in Neenah, Wisconsin. Can you shed some light on what was going on there, that you were invited in for a private investigation, and what happened while you were there?
Certainly.
Remember the one that we did in Neenah with the big field area?
I totally know.
Yep. All right.
So the client at the time, very enthusiastic paranormal researcher herself, she was kind of letting us into the property because there were some things happening. Certain claims about a young female by the fireplace, partially burned. So that was one of the claims. There was things with her daughter. She had a very young daughter at the time, and she would like interact with something that wasn't there, and she wasn't afraid of it. She didn't feel like any of the spirits were evil or anything like that. But she knew about us already, and she wanted to invite us. And believe it or not, she's a pseudo member right now of the team, because we're waiting for her to do
okay.
And then she's going to join us. So she has a spot open,
That's exciting.
Yes, it was very exciting. So we went there and we did the walkthrough first. And again, it was a very enjoyable time with the client, because she's just an amazing human being. And, she gave us kind of the walk around and kind of like the history behind the property and everything else. And one thing we learned about initially, what we learned is that the backyard is like where deers go to die. Okay.
Oh.
And I said deers. I'm sorry. I'm from Germany originally, but the deer go to die. And so that was kind of intriguing to us.
That sounds a little too grim, because it makes it sound like it's a deer graveyard, and it's not.
But it is, because you would find dead deers there throughout whatever. Like once in a while, they would die there. But so we're like, okay, this could be very interesting. And she talked about the history of the original owners of the property, and it was basically a murder-suicide situation with the entire family.
Oh boy.
So, back in the 1800s, and there was also a discussion of a local native tribe had issues with the settlers there. So there was some battles as well. So we're going into this going, okay, well, these are some very interesting claims. We set up an investigation. We got there, we set up and everything, and Josh just got done setting up the DVR, DVR?
Yeah.
I always forget the lingo. I always forget
surveillance video.
Yeah, gotcha. And one of our Julie Van Oss, she had her cell phone, and just for chance, she took a shot. And she's like, she looked at it and goes, David, you got to see this. And I'm looking at it going, when did you take that? Just now. I'm like, holy crap. Not sure what it is. It could be light or whatever, but the way the image, and I know you're going to show it in a few minutes, the way the image looked, you could tell that it was coming from one direction. Okay? It wasn't like just there. It was literally coming from one direction, which in many cases, again, we're talking about portals. Okay? A potential of an entity leaving a portal and entering our space. So we put that on the side burner. Okay, we got this information. Let's continue with that. Now, we never were able to produce at the fireplace, outside the fireplace. We were not able to replicate, including with cameras, the claim about the young girl who supposedly, and as you can see, if you look at the image, it's from left to right.
Mm-hmm.
You see that light? Okay. And
yes.
when you look at it, there's like three different things that all of us agreed and couldn't agree on. Is the first image, when I looked at it, I thought I saw a white horse.
The bottom left.
Mm-hmm.
Bottom left. But if you look at it again, it looks like a woman in a wedding dress.
Yeah, it looks like to me it looks like an apparition in a white dress. That's what it looks like to me.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And then the third one is where that horse head is actually a joint, and you're looking over and it's like some kind of creature. So these were things that we talked about during the review process, and none of us can agree on it per se, but I guess it could be your brain interpreting it a certain way. But the one thing we could agree on was the direction it was coming out of, and where you have light on the left and you have nothing on the right.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, that's a potential for a portal. So that's a really good image. It actually took me by surprise when I looked at it. Not a lot of things surprised me, but this one really did a number on me. So throughout the entire night, at some point we left the cameras out and everything, right? So we did see a lot of deer. Like at one point I counted 16.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, there was a lot. Like there was a lot of deer that would come out into this field. Like we even have like these deer who actually came right up to the camera.
Yep.
Like you could literally see the detail on their face. I'm talking like they're like a dog. Their nose literally came right up to the camera to the left and sniffed it.
And the unusual thing that I figured, what was the time frame that when we did the investigation? I think it was sometime in late part of the year, like fall going in before winter.
It was in May of.
It was May. Okay.
Yeah, it was. I'm pretty sure it was 2021, May of 2021. I believe.
You sure about that?
I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
I know it was in May.
May 22nd. That's what it was. It just hit my head.
There you go.
It was May 22nd. The one thing that was odd, and it must have been a cooler night, is because I saw the breath from the deer.
Mm-hmm.
And usually you see that when it's colder.
Well, it still gets kind of cold overnight in May. I mean, just not as cold. But...
Okay.
And
all right.
And see, one of the interesting things is that, she owns this whole property, so we were able to go all the way back. Mm-hmm. But the actual there was a horse stable, I believe. There was a horse stable all the way in the back of the property, way back in the woods at the end of the field.
Yep.
And according to like the history of the place, there was a man, which is probably part of this murder suicide whole thing, but there was a man that unfortunately committed suicide back there.
He hung himself in the barn.
And that's
boy.
It's in rubbles, but I mean the original like, it's still there. It's just
it's the original building
torn apart in rubble. So
and the thing is
hey, it's still there though. Even if it is, yeah.
Exactly.
The thing about it, there were a few things we were looking at. We didn't get as much as we hoped for, to be honest with you. I think that photo that Julie took was paramount overall. Because it really, because it wasn't. We watched her take it. We went back because we were questioning, like, was there a light there or something, or it was complete dark.
Yeah.
There was no flash because Josh had the main camera that we used. He hadn't used it yet at the time that Julie took it. So we were able to go back and see exactly the timing of her image. And when Josh took, like, maybe 2 minutes later, took a flash. But by that point, she's already looking at her phone.
Yeah. And it wasn't really.
Do you think you guys will ever get to go back to that location? Do you think you have an opportunity to do
Probably.
that?
Oh yeah.
As I said earlier, she's pretty much a member of the team.
Yeah.
So
that's good.
If we ever want to go back,
I don't think we've spoken to her in a while, but we are definitely she's a friend, so definitely.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Well, I'd love to have you guys back on the show again, especially if you get to go back to that location and see what transpires and what happens with you.
Yeah, we'll have to do that. We'll have to, as I said, I mean, she's always part of the team. And she's always open for us to do whatever we want to.
Yeah.
So.
I want to apologize for that audio that we had way earlier, where where David was like, "Are you still there?" That was me finally finding the live stream so I could post a link on social media.
That's all right. Yeah. No problem. But I want to thank you guys so much for your time and your effort in coming on this evening. I really do appreciate it. This was really a lot of fun, and I would love to have you guys come back again if you will.
Oh yeah.
Oh, we would love to.
Anytime.
Definitely. I mean, there's so much more that we can talk about. I mean,
is there any way? Is there any way that the viewers could look for you guys? Do you have a website or anything you'd like to share with everyone? Are you on Instagram? Are you on TikTok? Please. Give it out to the audience right now.
Yeah. So we have a website is kakanaparanormal.com. We have a Facebook page. It's facebook.com/kakanaparanormal. Most of our stuff is /kakanaparanormal unless it didn't fit.
Yeah.
But
so go as far as you could go and then.
Exactly. Like on our Twitter, I don't really post a lot to Twitter, just because of the fact that I hate having to post to like so many different things. And the reason why I haven't posted to Twitter in a while is because there used to be a way where you
could connect them all and that
exactly. Yep. There used to be an app where you could connect your Facebook page to your Twitter account, and anything that you posted on Facebook was automatically posted on Twitter, and they got rid of that feature a couple years ago. So I'm never on KPRT's Twitter account. So it's there. It's just we never post to it. Yeah. And then obviously our YouTube. Our YouTube is where we have all of our video and audio evidence. That's youtube.com/kakanaparanormal. And I think that's pretty much it. We also have the large side project that we're working on, Paranormal Societies, and that you can go to paranormalsocieties.org. That's a public directory, free public directory. You can list yourself specialist, paranormal specialist. You know, if any aspect of the paranormal that you are involved in, you go ahead and create an account, and you'll, once your account is approved, you'll appear in the public directory.
In the listing. That's great. Yep, I'm on there. That's how I think I found you guys. That's how I think I found you.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah,
yep.
You know, Josh has worked very hard on this. He's our techie, so he handles all that stuff, and I got to tell you,
it's a great idea.
Great idea. Yeah, I was gonna say I don't just do like equipment setup. I program.
Yeah,
like,
he's a programmer.
Programming language. So,
and he lets me know that I'm not. But
well, thank you again, guys. It was really nice to have met you both, and we will definitely reconnect somewhere in the future. And thank you, Techie Chris. We couldn't do it without you either.
Thank you, Chris.
Yes.
If you like listening. If you like listening to this week's episode and you're into all things paranormal, check out my other show, Eleanor Wagner's Strange and Scary World podcast, out of the Paranormal UK Radio Network, which is available wherever you get your podcasts. And if any of you are interested in reading any of my books, you can find the links to them on my website, authoreleanorwagner.com. I write about the history of the town and location, add the paranormal story to the mix, and finish it all off with photos and evidence. And I'm excited to share that I now have t-shirts available from both my Creepin' It Real podcast and Strange and Scary World podcast. Anyone interested in getting one, email me at authoreleanorwagner@gmail.com. They're $15 each. Lastly, viewers, tune in on Thursday, May 25th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, when I'll be interviewing team members from Truth Be Told Paranormal about their many investigations and the evidence they've unearthed. Thank you and good night. I hope you enjoyed the show.
I hope you've enjoyed this little journey down my own personal nightmare alley. If you're one of those people who experiences the paranormal and has stories of your own you've been filing away over the years, I want to hear about them. And if you're a part of a paranormal investigative team, even better. I'd love to have you on my show. Got a questionable photo? Send it in. Would love to have an open discussion here amongst the professionals. Reach out to me at authoreleanorwagner@gmail.com. Enjoy our soundtrack music, Headless Horseman by Alexander Nakarada, promoted by freestockmusic.com. And remember, no ghost story is better than a real-life ghost story. Until we meet again, make sure you're creeping it real.